Okay, so well, let's proceed because the time the boss tell me 30 minutes max, so I need to be efficient. But yeah,
Sure.
my obsession on the interview, I will be very clear, is how things happening. I will not talk more in details about the movie, but I'm very curious
Right.
how a film is happening, and especially this kind of art movie. That's why I was interested also if your producer can join because yeah, I read because I see your interview you did in Italy on YouTube. So you can
Yes.
already deliver a lot of information. You explain us that yeah. The roots of the movie was your friendship with central
Yes.
character, right? Um,
Hmm.
but before we go into that, can you just summarize, yeah, where you come from, how you get acquainted with cinema, what is
Mm.
your origin very quickly?
Sure. So, I was born in Inner Mongolia, China. It's Inner Mongolia is basically the northern region of China that borders with Russia and Mongolia.
Yes,
It's
I went there.
it's
Which city you were? You're from?
Baotou,
About
Baotou.
oh, okay, yeah,
It's in the middle parts. It's an
yeah.
industrial city famous for rare earth uh, resources and all that.
Okay, you're from Baotou.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm from Baotou. And uh, oh, the second part of your question was how I got
Yes.
acquainted with cinema, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, as a kid, growing up in like junior high, I loved watching film. I think I watched most of the films when I was in junior high, kind of, because at the time, studying in school was kind of a tricky thing for me. I'm not the kind of kid who's really good at taking tests, but instead I'm I was very like introverted, so what's my favorite things to do were like after school I would go back home and secretly be writing a novel and secretly be reading a lot of the books
Okay, so it's not something
that
new.
interested
Yeah,
me.
you were quite young then.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, and films were a part of the secret sanctuary of mine that kind of made up my mental and spiritual world as a kid. So in the very beginning, I watched almost everything, but especially I really loved like Western fantasy, fantastical movies like the Narnia and all that, like all kids do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, but so at a very early age, I started to tell people that I wanted to be a director. But at the time, I couldn't really figure out what a director would do. But for me, it was like I love writing, I love music, and I love cinema. So cinema is like the the medium that kind of brings all
Everything together.
mediums of art together. So why not? It's like
Yeah.
one that includes everything. So I don't have to choose.
So how you
So
go from
that's
Bauto go into cinema? Yeah, there is some, I don't know, some association, some stuff, or you have to apply for university. How you get into the
well, I actually went to school in California. I went to high school in California first,
okay.
and then I applied to um universities from there. So that's like a relatively easy steps. A lot of parents would put their kids in like a US high school for a few years to make the transition a bit earlier. Otherwise, when I was in high school, like my English was like really elementary level, so I had to like have like 1 or 2 years as a transition. So initially, when I first got into New York University, I was in liberal studies because at the time I felt that even if I applied to film school, they wouldn't accept me because I haven't I haven't made anything for any film or short films, anything like that. So I didn't like really pick up the courage to shoot a legit short film onto the freshman year of my college years. So it was then I started to see that this is something that's difficult but doable, but at the same time, super, super exciting for me. And I immediately decided to transfer to film school my second year. And then that's how
Okay.
I got into film school.
So how old you were approximately at this time?
At what stage?
How old?
Uh, r-
Which age?
right now?
No, no,
Right
no.
now?
When you decide to go into film school, it's
When I decided to go to film school, I was like 19, I think.
okay. Yeah, so
So
normal.
it's not like super early. Yeah.
It's normal. All right, it's good. Good.
Right.
Okay. So you start okay. You study in US for movie.
Right. I finished the regular film school education and all that, but I didn't really become a filmmaker in my own eyes until
Okay.
after film school when I returned back to China, to Inner Mongolia, my hometown, after COVID to like shoot a series of documentary of like local kids who were like riding horses and stuff. So at the time, COVID hit and I wasn't able to do my thesis. So I wanted to have something else to do that kind of make me feel that I did something. So I went another direction back home, and then I don't know why, but another journey just started from there. And like I think it was from all those documentaries where I started to really see myself as a filmmaker, not just a film student, uh, but instead as a person who is slowly developing her own body of work that's kind of coherent with each other.
That's yeah, that's the idea, huh? I guess that's the idea. And so when because yeah, so you go documentary, but documentary is filming the real. How you so how it happens from your idea means you get this idea of a movie, I guess, by seeing
Hmm.
your friend and start like building this story, I guess. But how you put the things in
Right.
action when you have to contact producer, it's people you know. How does it work? Because you need cinematographer, you need cast, you need everybody. How do
Yeah.
you build this team? Because it's not a documentary now; it's becoming more
Hmm.
structure.
Right. So I think the documentaries, somehow most of my fiction works, they kind of stemmed from my failed documentary
Okay.
attempts. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's something about me. Like I think you really take a lot of courage, even more courage, to become a really good documentarian because the line between reality and fiction and documentary, there's still a line.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
something that takes tremendous courage for you to cross and to be able to bear with it. And for a lot of times, I couldn't really pick up the courage to really push people into the like corner that documentarians sometimes have to do, that kind of vulnerability. But at the same time, I find from those raw material, maybe I have missed like some decisive moments that's important for documentary. But what if I instead write a kind of parallel or something that's like a fiction story that builds onto reality, but at the same time, it's not reality. Is that going to kind of lift that burden, but at the same time, discuss the topics and the issues that I really want to discuss? So initially, that was the idea, and that was also my previous short film, Graveyard Horses, was also like a product of another failed documentary, and
I mean, it's not
so
failed. Then it's not failed.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
transforming. It's blooming.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so many crew members that I used for this feature length film are actually crew from the short film. So mainly they are either um my my classmates from NYU who also graduated the same year and
Mm.
got back to China because of COVID and everything, and who also at the time couldn't find anything to do, much to do, I mean, because at the time everyone was figuring things out. And also, I met with my producer through the short film. We, Julene and I, we are not classmates, but we got to know each other because of the previous shorts that I've done. So basically, around 60% to 70% of the main crew for the feature, they are actually crew member that I worked with for the short. So so I think the core team is people whom I really trust and whom I worked with. So that made it a lot easier. Um, as you can see that like for our film, we also have a Malaysian executive producer, Ten May, and I think I need to like explain a bit. Like executive producer is something that's uh not sure it's a Chinese thing or like it's more like a mentor kind of role. It's more similar to a mentor role instead of like a executive kind of role. So the how I met with Tentre May is that at the time when I was writing the script for the feature, she was having a script writing workshop kind of thing. And at the time, my producer saw like the flyer for it, and she sent that over to me and be like, "You should try that out." So I signed up for that. So it's like a 30-day consecutive writing workshop where you have to wake up at 7 a.m. every morning to be in a group and just write.
Oh,
There's like 20
wow.
minutes of
Yeah.
lecture, but then the rest of the time you just write. No matter like what you write, it's just a habit, a muscle memory. And you
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
write for 1 hour every morning. And after that, 20 days, I was able to present like a rough drafts of my script to Trime, and she read it and she liked it. And so I proposed, like, do you
Mm.
want to be the executive producer of this project? And she's like, yeah, fine, but I will be more like a mentor,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I also have my own works that's going on. So we manage our expectation and it's kind of fits. So that's how we got her on board as well. So that's I think that's like the basic structure of our team.
Okay, yeah. How long would it takes to get things start, from the script that, yeah, let's say it's written and then
Well,
financing, build the team, or
mm,
do you start
so
immediately and yeah, expect the funds to come later? How does it happen?
well, I think the script writing phase definitely took me the longest. So I started writing the script before let me see. So the short film Graveyard of Horses world premiered in the winter of 2022, but I started writing the feature in the summer of 2022. So after a year, almost a year, but not like a full year, so in March next year, 2023, I finished the second draft of the feature and I shared it with my producer. And 2020, and in October 2023, we started pre-production, but that's like pre-production with the whole crew. Um, okay, let me make it clear. So here we are in 2020. In March, I finished the second draft of the film, and then in around June to September, I started location scouting and rehearsing with my friend who is going to be the lead actor, but at the time he wouldn't believe it, but he still rehearsed.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you
so
got
I
a life, you
spent
got a job, and yeah, so it's not something you
yeah
can do. Yeah,
yeah at the time he was still performing at the horse
yeah.
show, so we were only able to rehearse when he's like off from work. So so during those months, little by little, I really spent a long time in like location scouting and doing like field research kind of location scouting, like stay at the horse show and spend time with the performers there, and also try to find the locations around. And yeah, I think that's what took us the longest time. And we started to form the main crew before October. So when we go into October, that's when all the main crew are present on set, and we started to actually do like in-person pre-production. That's when the in-person pre-production starts. And then in November, that's when principal photography starts. And then it lasted for 23 days. And
Okay,
then
it's
yeah,
short.
that's
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
timeline. It's very extremely short.
yeah.
And then the next year, 2024, in June we locked editing, and in September we went to Venice.
Okay, wow.
That's
Yeah.
super fast.
Yeah, well, it's good. It's good. It's
Yeah.
no time to stress too much or whatever. Things are straight.
Yeah. Like I have to like lay it flat on a timeline to like tell you like which points what happened.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Oh, the time is flying. So I will switch to another topic, which is maybe a bit
Mhm.
more personal because you use the wording again when we were talking. Because during your interview in Italy, when I watched several times, you use the word vulnerable. To vulnerable, vulnerability. You know.
Oh,
Yeah,
vulnerability.
sorry, my accent
Right.
is French. It's terrible.
Sorry. No
Uh,
worries.
yeah, I won't cure it. So yeah. So you mentioned it earlier. So what? My
Mhm.
question is it referring to a specific word in Chinese, or because what is the meaning of this when you mean vulnerability? Because vulnerability for me is
Mm.
being fragile or get a weakness.
Mm.
And I'm not sure is what you want to show. And is it something because you talk about it from the documentary? Is it something which is
Mhm.
very central, something you want to show the vulnerability of life or things in your movie? Or
Right. So I think it's not something that's distinctly Chinese in any way. I think even in Western societies, vulnerability as a as like the opposite of the traditional or stereotypical
Hmm.
masculine characteristics, it still stand true because obviously in both societies there are social expectations for men to be this like I don't know, super strong masculine
Yeah,
and
okay.
not vulnerable beings. And also for me, I think there are also expectations for a director to not show vulnerability.
Hmm.
So I just feel that through my process of working, vulnerability has been something that's very important to show in when you want to build trust with people and when you want to exchange something with people. Only when you show your own vulnerability and um, not try so hard to hold on to like your power or authority,
Hmm.
then you start to see that other people also start to show you their vulnerable side, which is something very beautiful about human nature, and it's just something that I appreciated. And you know, very early in my filmmaking career, when I was still a student, there was a older male colleague who was like, "Oh, I've seen like female directors like you all the time. You're definitely gonna cry on set." And at the time, I was thinking, no, I'm definitely not gonna cry, right?
Mhm.
I'm gonna be strong and not show my vulnerability. But right now, I don't think that way anymore. I feel that what if I cry? Then what? And what if you cry? What does that mean? Does that make us weak humans? I don't think so.
I mean, in a male point aspect, yeah, it is because the indication is, yeah, yeah, boys don't cry, so it's something that you say, but of course, it's true, it's true.
But we appreciate seeing men cry, and men should cry more in cinema.
Well, I prefer laughing, but yeah, uh, sometimes we have to. Okay, it's interesting. So yeah, yeah. So it means when you what you expect from your actors is yeah to find this way and to show this aspect of their personality, right? It's to get into
Well, well, I don't think like he has to sh deliberately show it. It's like a side of all
yeah yeah
people, and especially for his character, his character is not like the most typical masculine man
mm,
as we may encounter or imagine for Mongolian males. And yeah, on set, there was one scene where he actually cried. And at the time, I was not sure whether I should ask him to like really cry or just sob a little bit.
mm,
But at the
yes
time, I felt that I wanted him to let it out, and then I will know whether I need it.
mm,
So
mm, mm,
at the time when we shoot that, so he's a non-professional actor, and usually it's super difficult for
yeah
you to ask someone like that to cry out loud in front of a bunch of people.
yeah
And especially, yeah, he's a man who grew up in a relatively conservative region. And my editor on set was like, maybe you shouldn't let him cry. What if like he walk off the
mm,
set tomorrow
what
and
people
never
will
come
say
back?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what do we do? We shouldn't do that because maybe you don't need him to cry.
Mhm.
But
And
I
yeah,
insisted. I
yeah,
was like, I think he need it, and I want to. I need that to see if I actually need him to cry. So eventually, I cut out the really loud crying scene. Eventually, but the second day after we shoot that scene, my lead actor said thank you to me because he hadn't been crying for a long time, and it really made him a lot happier that he
mm,
cried the
relieved.
other
Yeah.
day. So yeah, relieved.
So did you show the movie in China already or not?
Not yet. We're still waiting for a festival, maybe next year.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully, yeah, it's always a bit difficult. But I mean,
Yeah.
the subject
Keep
is
our fingers crossed.
yeah, I mean, but yeah, so it brings me to the last because the time is question. The last question is because do you get the feeling you're part of? I would say it's I don't like this word, but a kind of generation or new generation of movie maker in China that go into this. I remember when I saw the Elephant, Elephant City Still, or these movies that are very
Mm,
introspective. I would say today there is a lot of for me the characteristic now of the modern China is a technical perfection. I would say I see
mm,
the way you treat image is far. I'm coming from France. The idea is Godard. So you do whatever is not nice or nice. You can do Le Mépris or you can do other things. You don't care. But here there is very
mm.
this mastery because even with very small means you manage to do fantastic photography and
Really?
stuff.
You
Yeah,
think
yeah. I
so?
mean, yeah, I'm very impressed about the Chinese cinema about that. Yeah, and also these topics that are really personal, that are very introspective. So which
Hmm.
necessarily is not what the big industry of cinema is, expecting. So it's a kind of resistance. So do you feel like you're part of a generation, or it's many people isolated who find their way in this jungle, let's say?
Well, I think uh, whether this can be, I'm not sure whether this or like my generation will be marked as like something new wave when film critics and theorists categorize our present. I'm
Mm.
not sure about that, but I feel that at the same time, a lot of directors who have really different styles, we are like um, we are like people digging in different places and trying to reach somewhere. But eventually, is it gonna be like a new wave? I don't know really, but I feel that maybe that's like the job of film critics
Yeah,
and
yeah,
not
yeah.
like
We have a different, yeah, a different
yes,
view.
yes,
We are collecting and yeah, everything. But no, no, I can see that because I
same.
see a lot of yeah, and digging into also family trauma or I remember these films.
Mm,
But also with this, yeah, this I'm very impressed by the mastery and yeah. So yeah, maybe also because some of them are trained yeah to do also advertisement or all this,
mhm,
things to live, because yeah, I mean. I don't want to be personal on that, but yeah, this is not a cinema that is made to generate a lot of revenue, I guess. So unless you have some heart, but it's very seldom. So do you do other production job, or you are full time dedicated to your filming today, your writing, your
Well, it depends. Like, right before I started working really intensely on this film. So when I'm working on this film, that is a full-time job.
yeah, yeah,
There's
of
no
course.
way
Yeah, yeah.
I can take something else. But when, for example, when I get into like somewhere that's very close to finish for the editing stage, I also took on some smaller side jobs like directing a 5 minute shorts or something,
Mhm.
a commercial like those kind of things. I also do those on the side, but only when the film is in a stage where it doesn't need my full-time commitment. But it's not always like that. It's like well, making a feature film is for an independent director kind of. It's a full-time job where sometimes you have to at times you have to be your own producer, at times you have to be your own sales agent, and at times you have to be your like post supervisor, whatever. So you kind of have to dip your toes into the water for everything a little bit, even though maybe at a later time there's gonna be a specialized person who's gonna do that. But still, it's a lot of work. But I also recognize that by doing a lot of those things by myself, I'm being super, super efficient and I saved a tons of money. So yeah, even in those times when I cannot have like extra time to take other works, I feel kind of fulfilled and reassured that I'm working for myself and working with myself almost like a team.
Good. Good. And for financing, you got some Chinese finance, or everything is coming from, abroad or Malaysia or US, or you have some support from China for this kind of movies?
Well, we do have some private investors, and but we also had a lot of we won many grants. Some are cash, but some others are like non-cash. They are, for example, we did our coloring and post processes in Thailand, and that is completely supported by a company called White Light, and that is a post-production award that we won in Hong Kong.
Important too.
Yeah. Yeah, so those things, when your budget is really small, those things, when they add up, they can really solve a lot of problems.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a job also to jungle with financing. So yeah, oh, it's great. It's great. So what's next? I mean, you already mentioned that you got some idea already, but are you already working on a script or something, or planning to shoot?
Well, I think right now I'm still in the research stage for the next script because usually when I start writing a script, it's really, really fast. But I always, especially this time, I want to have a more solid ground on the foundational knowledge and uh, I can feel more comfortable spending more time doing developing the script and doing pre-production because I feel that for my first feature, everything went super, super fast. Partially it's because it's a story based in reality and I'm casting my friend, a non-actor, so I'm racing against time in a way because things will change every year. I'm not sure whether next year he's gonna be in the same state that's suitable for the film. And so in those kind of circumstances, you have to race with time. In other times, I think I can take a little time. Yeah, so but I'm definitely not the kind of person who like to procrastinate a
Mm,
film to be
I
like
can see. Yeah.
doing pre-production for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot last that long. Yeah, so yeah, so I think
And
as
you,
long
oh, sorry. No,
yeah,
sorry.
no, no, no. Go
Interrupt
ahead,
you, but
go
I
ahead,
see the
go
time
ahead.
going. We have only 7 minutes left, so I'm struck
It's
by the
okay, go
time.
ahead.
No. You will focus on this beautiful region of Inner Mongolia. You want your cinema to be anchor in this, landscape or nomadic space, or you are thinking to, make a movie in cities or whatever. What is your idea? You want
Mm.
remain very attached to your place, or it's not just landscape for you?
Well, I think both.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
um, for me, like the landscape is definitely very important, but I don't think that my the love for landscape storytelling ties me strictly to Inner Mongolia only. But as for now, I think that's probably one of my strengths. I can definitely expand a little bit on it, and I feel that I'm also open to other opportunities as they will reach me.
Of course, it's great. But look, I wish you all the best for the future because, yeah, as you say, it's meeting people, opportunities, and things, and you're just starting. So, but congratulations again
Right.
for this very nice movie, and thanks for the interview. Look, we'll try to mount it with panels and to make it great. But no, it's great. I wish we could discuss longer, but yeah, I was instructed not to take too much of time. So, do you have opportunity to watch some other movies during the festival, or you're always absorbed by interviews or people? Did you
Oh,
watch?
sorry, what
Did you
was
watch
the
other
question?
movie during the festival in Australia? You have time to watch some other movies?
Ah,
Anything you like or yeah.
so in other festivals, uh I'm usually I usually watch a lot of films as long as I can get the tickets.
Okay.
But yeah, so it for me it's very important to watch what other people are doing. It's important to always be a student and be an audience and see what other people are doing. Those are gonna teach you more than anything else. Yeah, but here in Australia, this event is mainly an award and a forum, so I couldn't really, they
Okay.
don't have any screenings, so I cannot watch any. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know. Okay. And anything you really like recently you watch, or what is your favorite film, I would say, today?
My favorite film. So, before this trip to Australia, I was in Thailand attending the World Film Festival in Bangkok. So there, I really like All We Imagined as Light and Vietnam. So
It's
those are
funny.
really nice.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
watched
those
an
those are
interview
really nice.
yesterday from this girl, Miss
Oh,
Nadia. Yeah, it's funny. So you mentioned it. Yeah,
is it Nikita?
yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
oh, nice. So
Uh,
nice. And yeah, so what others? What else? This film by Lo Ye, an unfinished film. Just watched
okay,
that. Yeah, that one's also really interesting.
okay, nice. Though I have to let you go before the
Okay,
buzz
sure.
will say, no, thank you very much. So yeah, it's also very interesting for me, and not as only a critic, but also yeah to learn, and I'm always curious to know how things happening, and yeah, how from Baotou you end up magnifying your people and your region. So it's great. So wish you a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Super nice to meeting you.
Nice to
Bye.
meet you. Bye.